So the way they're doing this, it looks like, is they're ending the criminal investigation, but they're doing what's the word I'm looking for here? Yeah, an administrative review. That's the correct legal language. Um, so it seems like I was right that the locus of opposition was in the security establishment. But it seems like they've concluded that Hillary Clinton had no meaningful oversight over her staff. That is, it seems like they've concluded that she's not any real threat to national security because she had no idea what they were doing. And I guess it's up to the political process to establish that oversight, which is what was happening with the whole Bernie Sanders thing. Instead, they're focusing on a systemic review to make concrete changes to prevent the situation from occurring again. It's very rational given the discourse. I remain convinced that they were willing to press charges until the last minute. Did the Clintons propose the terms of the deal in the end? Is that what that meeting was about? Is that what happened? Well, they're all lawyers, right? So, they could have shown up. And is that what they did? See, here's the thing. Even if the Clintons proposed this course of action, it's not a particularly poor one. Yeah, it happens to have the happy coincidence of a dropped investigation, but it's the proper systemic reaction. The only questionable part of it is whether Clinton was really that unaware. And does that mean that she's off the hook? Well, not exactly, I don't think. So let me re-articulate that, because I don't think it was ever a question about being on the hook or being, the punishment or anything like that, right? It was a question of whether there was a serious sort of locus of opposition to Hillary Clinton within the security establishment. CIA, deep state, CIA, whatever you want to call this, right? I'm not going to pretend that I have some, deep understanding of how, these sort of internal networks operate. The truth is that nobody does, and anybody that tries to tell you that they understand how the internal networks in the American deep state operate is lying to you, right? All you can get, even the people that say they were in it, and they come out and they don't have a full understanding. No, I don't think there's a person alive in the world that has a full understanding of how all of these networks operate, and who knows who. It's enough just to know that there's something in there, right? And like I say, read Quigley, read Sutton. This isn't crazy talk coming from some, anonymous. Like this isn't comparable to the protocols of Zion or something ridiculous like that, right? These are academic sources, right? And if you don't know this, if you're just going to write it off, then that's just a function of your own ignorance, right? Of course, like as I've mentioned a few times, part of the media's focus is to have you take that perspective, right? But something the media pushes is skepticism of climate change, right? That doesn't mean that it's because the media pushes it doesn't mean it's true. And in fact, I think most of the people that will push back against these conspiracy theories will even tell you is that most of the time what the media tells you is false. But it's just so ingrained. It's so enforced. In fact, here's something that is interesting. The term conspiracy theory actually comes from the Warren Report. Nobody had ever used the term conspiracy theory before. The Warren Report did, and of course they used it to describe the idea that there was a second gunman, right? We have a lot of history to look back on. We have a lot of hindsight. A lot of we're in a privileged place historically. So it's we can look back at this and we can see this and we can say, geez, it might have been harder in 1970 to make the argument that this use of language is designed with a political purpose. I think that standing in 2015 or 2016, it's a lot easier to make that argument, anyways. So yeah, I mean, I'm not claiming I have some deep understanding of what it is that these security networks are, who's in them, or anything. I'm just pointing out that the way things were unfolding made it obvious that there was some opposition to Clinton within the halls of real power. And I don't think that what we've seen here indicates that opposition has faded so much as they've come out with a report that's very rational. It says, okay, a lot of problems in what was going on in Hillary Clinton's State Department, but the evidence that they have in front of them suggests that she really didn't understand what was happening, that she didn't put the orders down, and the things that they're concerned about, the national security arguments that they have, and all the concerns and everything else, they've concluded they really shouldn't be that concerned about her so much as they should be concerned about her staffers. Now, here's the thing. Let's say that they go through this investigation, and at the end of it, every single person in her entire office is, has their security clearance removed, is banned from working for her. I mean, is the CIA going to handpick the staff? The reality is that most of these people came in through years of contacts with the Clinton Foundation, with her husband's administration, and it's a network of people there unto itself, right? And what the State Department here is broadcasting is that while Hillary Clinton herself may be seen as a minimal threat, her network or the people that she works for and works with are still seen as a maximal threat. And so the ramifications of this are probably going to actually be quite complex. For example, what if Sidney Blumenthal has his security clearance revoked? That could happen. He's a very important person for her behind the scenes. And what the impression that I'm getting is that a lot of those people that are very important to her behind the scenes may be restricted from working within a Clinton administration. So what does she do? Does she go to her foundation and pull more people out? And then how does the NSA react? So what this is broadcasting to me is that rather than take her down, or at least they don't have the evidence to take her down, instead they're going to be fighting to prevent her from bringing the people in that... it's almost like I said the magic words. Sidney Blumenthal. And then the device freezes. And I had to run a scan disk in order to get the fragment off of the drive. It's not the first time I've had this device freeze up like this, and it seems like it always freezes up when I say something like that, huh? So yeah, I do believe that this device is compromised. I don't... maybe they do have a tracking device on me after all. So I don't know. I don't know exactly how they're doing it. Well, I mean, if you read FCC requirements in the United States specifically, like they can take over your microwave. Okay, like you can't sell any electronic equipment in the United States that can't be controlled remotely. Again, you want to talk about conspiracy theories? That's fine, but that's the reality of it. So I was talking about what happens if Sidney Blumenthal gets his security clearance revoked and is prevented from working in the new administration. And that's, from what I think that he's probably going to be one of the people that's targeted the most, because there's a lot of opposition to this guy specifically. Not just him, it's the whole sort of network that she has working around her. What's probably going to happen is she's going to go into the Clinton Foundation or into her husband's administration and pull out people that are just as compromised, that have the same, networks of, foreign influence peddling and the whole thing. And then what's going to happen? They might not have the evidence to go after her right now, but if she just carries on with the same things, and she brings in the same people. I mean, this was never really about email, right? This was always about who it is that Clinton is really working for, right? I pointed out in another vlog, the focus, the political focus is on like the banks, right? But if you look at the amount of money that she's getting from banks, and then you look at the amount of money that she gets from sheiks in the Middle East, it's not the banks that are the biggest sources of influence there, right? And this is the whole point. Clinton is a problem because she does not appear to have any sort of principles. She's for sale to the highest bidder, right? And so we're looking at the possibility where the President of the United States is literally for sale to foreign influences. So we could have an issue where you have Vladimir Putin and Angela Merkel lobbying for influence with the president. And whoever has the biggest check, whoever's willing to put the largest amount of money down is going to be who it is that gets listened to. Obviously, the security establishment in the United States can't deal with that, right? At least that's what it seems to be is developing, right? Again, anybody that tells you that they understand, these powers, these corridors of power is lying to you, right? You have to look at information and come up with reasonable deductions, and this is from what I've been able to see was what's happening, right? So they're going after the people that were supposedly responsible because they don't have any direct evidence to blame Clinton with, right? But that to me I don't think this is over, right? Because the actual issue hasn't been addressed. And the people that were trying to prevent her from taking over haven't really had their concerns addressed. So the way I see this unfolding is that a Clinton presidency is probably going to be defined by her struggles with the deep state, whatever that actually means, and however unclear that may actually be at this specific point. And if you think I'm crazy, just keep in mind that it seems to be that my recording device turns off whenever I try to say something along those lines. But yeah, just to clarify in a short sort of statement, they're not going after Clinton because they don't have evidence that she knew what was happening. Instead, they're going after the people that directly carried out the communications, right? And from what I can see, there's every reason to think that there's going to be some people that are blocked. Some people that are very close to Hillary Clinton that are blocked. So we may get Hillary Clinton as president, but she's not going to be able to bring any of her staff with her. So what's she going to do? She's probably just going to go and take people that are just as bad, working for the same networks, open to influence, and frankly are that much less capable. So the NSA's attempt to block her right? Or block the people that they consider to be compromised is going to result in the same level of compromise or the same level of security issues, but with less capability. It could turn out the other way, right? I mean, I think that I don't think it's consistent to spend more than a year, certainly, but a year anyways, arguing that Clinton's got bad judgment, she can't run a hot dog stand, and then say that she's picked the best people available around her. It's probably not actually true. You could even end up with better people at the end of the day, right? If it is true that she can't run a hot dog stand, which is probably not far from the truth, then, well, maybe she can run a hot dog stand. Maybe a hamburger stand is a bit too much. You get the point that I'm trying to make, is that the whole point is that she's not a good administrator. She's not a good leader. She doesn't have good judgment. She probably didn't pick the best staff, right? She's probably not going to pick a good vice president. She probably is going to make a mistake, right? And the people that she had working for her, she picked from a pool of corrupt people. Maybe she didn't pick the most efficient, and didn't pick the best that are able to do what they're going to do, both in the sense of working for her in official capabilities and in the sense of working, through this process, right? But the fight has just shifted, right? Whether they actually believe that this, or whether they just don't have evidence, that's not entirely clear. But they decided they're going after the people that they're going out, instead of going after Clinton, they're going after her handlers, right? So she wins the election. Who are her new handlers? Probably the same as the old handlers. Are the people that tried to get rid of her handlers going to stop all of a sudden when she brings in new handlers that are the same as the old handlers? No, they're going to keep at it. And so this is probably going to be an issue for her entire presidency, by nature of what she is, right? She wants to be the commander, the commander of. She wants to be lobbyist in chief, right? Bring your concerns to us if you can pay for it, right? And we'll have policy determined by the highest bidder. Maybe we should be a little bit hopeful, a little bit happy that there's some evidence that there is still some system functioning in the government to try to stop that, right? But it's not hard to understand why. The security establishment might be a little bit concerned about the possibility of a president that could. It's a level of unpredictability, right? She's just as likely to support escalating the war in Ukraine if the financial interests are there, as she is to completely change the policy and all of a sudden take a pro-Russian position if the money's there. Just as likely to increase bombing in Syria as she is to end the bombing in Syria if the money's there. Right? That's a huge, huge threat for the internals of the American government, which may be the last functioning system in the government. Or again, that's what it looks like. That's what it seems like. I don't know what these corridors are. I can't put faces up. I can't put names to faces. I'm making a lot of deductions. But that's what it seems like is going on. So yeah, she might not go to jail, but everybody around her might, literally. And the people that she brings in might. This isn't done And the signals that I'm getting are that her presidency is going to be mired in these kinds of hearings. That if she doesn't happen to win, and she doesn't get assassinated, that is, if she wins and they allow her to take power, she's going to be under lock and key. She's going to be watched like an eagle. Her staff is going to be watched. And if the accusations up to this point have some merit, there could be some ridiculous scandals in her first term, right? That's what I'm getting out of this, anyways. We'll see what happens.